Well, there is a 21st century version of the 16th century slave trade. This time, illegal migrants from Africa are seeking a new life in Europe, and they end up in detention centers in Libya, where they are sold and auctioned if they're unable to pay their way out.
If you thought the slave trade belonged to the past century, think again. These people at Abidjan airport in the Ivory Coast have just returned from Libya, and they have horror stories to relate.
They sell Africans over there, they sell men over there. Even 15-year-old Libyans, they are in the car, armed. They come and kidnap you, sell you for 200 dinars or 100 dinars, then others resell you. That's the truth.
In Libya, according to a CNN investigation, every day illegal migrants from sub-Saharan Africa held in detention centers are sold as slaves. They are priced according to their physical attributes, which will define the work they can do. They are then sold at auctions with prospective buyers bidding for them.
It was a prison. They take you, they tell you to pay money. If you don't pay, you stay inside the prison. When you pay, they free you and another one grabs you. They send you somewhere else with another person who is going to take you back to the prison until you have no money left. We came back with nothing. The little money we had is what we needed to find something better in Europe to help the family. Unfortunately, God decided otherwise.
Migrants are generally those who have risked their lives to reach Libya, the traditional gateway to Europe. In many African countries, it is an old and familiar story. So, the CNN report does not shock or surprise.
You know, the CNN video. It's an open secret, which means many people knew about what was going on in Libya. We have talked about this repeatedly during our campaigns to sensitize people in the Ivory Coast by talking about the abuse of migrants and the abuse of women in particular. It is high time we understood that irregular migration is not only about the tragedy of deaths, it is about other tragedies.
The United Nations has strongly condemned this modern slave trade.
I am horrified at news reports and video footage showing African migrants in Libya reportedly being sold as slaves. I abhor these appalling acts and call upon all competent authorities to investigate these activities without delay and to bring the perpetrators to justice. And I've asked the relevant United Nations actors to actively pursue this matter. Slavery has no place in our world, and these actions are among the most egregious abuses of human rights and may amount to crimes against humanity.
Libyan authorities have started an investigation, but the issue snowballed as protests erupted in several African capital cities, including Bamako, Mali and Conakry. Burkina Faso recalled its ambassador to Libya. The revelations about the Libyan slave trade comes at a time when the European Union is under increasing criticism for its migration policies. The European Union has pledged millions of euros to African countries in an effort to stop the flood of migrants to Europe.
The increasing interventions of the EU and its member states have done nothing so far to reduce the levels of abuses suffered by migrants. Our monitoring, in fact, shows a fast deterioration in their situation in Libya.
Italy is spearheading the European Union migration policy, providing funds, equipment and training to the Libyan Coast Guard to intercept the rickety boats overloaded with migrants desperate to reach European shores. Since 2014, nearly 600,000 migrants have crossed the Mediterranean and reached Italy. 33,000 have died in the process. This has resulted in a drop in those seeking to cross the Mediterranean Sea, from 28,000 in June to 10,000 in August. But many, if not most of the missing migrants are currently stranded in Libyan detention centers. Libyans say they number around 19,000. The danger is that these centers are run by irregular militias, often linked to criminal organizations. Human rights groups have compared them to concentration camps. Migrants struck in Libya have so far been able to resettle only 25. A drop in the ocean considering the magnitude of this crisis. Daniele Pagani for WION.
All right, we're now joined by Nancy Portia, journalist from Italy. How grave is the situation in that area? In fact, many African countries, this is something that is an all too familiar story.
The situation is very bad and serious because we are witnessing to a total lack of human rights and protections towards the migrants passing through the North African country, as well as to Libyans. The country, as we know, is completely is a kind of state-failing nation. There is no army so far, there is no state, there is not strong government, and the government that is internationally recognized and that is based in Tripoli is actually backed and supported military-wise by militias. So it's all the security apparatus itself is infiltrated by criminal groups and what we would consider simple militias, regardless the fact that they report or they are enlisted among the armed forces belonging to the several ministries, such as Interior Ministry or the Defense Ministry.